Ready.
Let's call the meeting to order. This is public, gotta turn the mute on here. Calling the Public Safety Committee meeting for Tuesday, June 25th, 2024 to order. Scott, would you help us with the Pledge of Allegiance?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right.
Please.
Put your hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Be seated. Danielle, will you do the roll call for us, please?
Sure. Chief Rod Malone.
Present.
Chief Shane Mull. Captain Jay Christian.
Here.
Chair Nick Bercuda.
Here.
Vice Chair Michael Greenwald.
Here.
Mark Roden.
Here.
Scotland Rover.
Here.
And Gary Walsh.
Okay. If we don't have any other presentations or orders of business, let's look at the minutes from last month. They're in your packet.
I looked at them and I moved to approve.
I'll wait for a second.
I second it.
It's moved in second. Are you good with it?
I am.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's 4-0. This morning. Thank you. That was for May 28th, 2024's minutes. Do we have any oral or written communications to deal with?
No, we do not.
Thank you, Natalie. All right, so let's go to reviews and recommendations. Code compliance performance measures. Second word. Danielle, can you help us out with these?
Did you guys get a chance to review them? They're pretty simple as far as the caseload, the number of new cases for October, November, and December. You see a decline in the number of new cases in November and December, which is pretty typical given the holiday season. And as you look down the list, as far as number of complaints, number of case actions, they all decline in November and December, and that's just due to not as many complaints. People are out of town. There's nothing significant to report in these numbers, but I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Let's see.
Danielle, what is the number of actions by an officer?
So those are case actions. So in our software, anytime there's a phone call, an email sent, they document that. That is considered a case action. Issuing a notice, doing, various researching, requesting documents.
Okay.
Is there any other
No,
questions here?
the only other question I have, and I don't know if this was the same similar chart that I brought it up a few months ago with regards to the effectiveness down at the bottom. I'm still struggling with understanding how it's reported out like this, because I feel like it kind of does you guys a disservice. And I think we had discussed that in order to change the way it's reported out, it had to be, who had to move forward on that to get that done? Because if you got 27% of new cases getting resolved within 10 work days and 35 resolved within 30 days, So that's 62% of them being handled in 30 days or less. It just boggles my mind that we have this weird stat that we have cases that are 60 days old at 61%. I feel like that number is probably correct because it's a lingering from the cases that take longer, but I think that stat is contrary to, I feel like 3 of them are going in one direction and 1 is reporting us like opposite information. And then I don't know who's on that committee for stats and stuff like that, but.
It's hard because it doesn't provide a lot of context.
Correct, yeah, it lacks context, not by your fault by any means. It lacks context and it almost gives an impression of ineffectiveness, and we know that's not the case.
I remember Adam had mentioned something if we wanted to change that, that I believe it was, if you guys wanted to investigate that or even propose new metrics, performance measures, that I think we would have to do that during the next budget cycle, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
If memory serves, and I could be wrong, I think we had discussed something about instead of reporting that as a percentage, like maybe giving us a raw number, like, hey, this is like a raw number of this is how many are 60 days old, but this is how many we've done this year. Because that, to me, would be a better reflection of effectiveness and, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of what I was going to say. So, you know what I'm saying? So, because it almost seems like it's, and I could be wrong, is this telling me that 61% of the cases that are older than 30 days are actually older than 60 days? So does that mean there's a 39% gap that's between 30 and 60? That's what makes it really hard to understand. I just think it's a disservice to you guys. So maybe we can, like we said, we can change that metric.
And obviously, the raw number exists because if it didn't exist, we wouldn't have a percentage. So whatever if the raw number is being divided by, we just drop that and we'll have the raw number of how many cases were closed in 2 days, how many cases were closed in 10 days, how many are lingering out.
Yeah, I
We
get.
don't
The number has to be right there because
Yeah,
it's
she
being
doesn't.
used.
She doesn't create, like she said. So maybe we need to put it on us for the next budget cycle to keep the first 3 lines and then maybe actually add a 5th line. So a new 4th line could be how many cases have been completed in the last year, 365 days, and then how many are currently 60 days. I think to me that's a better implication of effectiveness and would show the positive work that's getting done.
And I think it would reflect a lot better on you, so as far as just.
I don't take it personal. I didn't create
No,
this.
I'm just saying, it would give us a much better picture, I think.
So my understanding how these things came about was for budgetary purposes. And as far as reporting and understanding these things, it's a little difficult for the layperson to understand, so.
Would you guys like me, because I know Captain Christian often does this, is he kind of creates a supplementary where I can put together a couple pie graphs and provide maybe a little more breakdown of those types of stats, because code is a little more complex and it's its own unique, you can't equate it to law enforcement or to fire. So why don't I look to provide some supplementary information for you guys, so I think it would help you understand a little bit better.
That would be very helpful, because if I can't explain it to my wife, because I don't understand it, that wouldn't be all that great, so it'd be nice to be able to explain it a little more fruitful there. And like Mark says, to your benefit of code enforcement too.
But also I would add, I don't want you to do anything that's going to actually add even minute more work for you. So if it's gonna create more work for you, I'm absolutely against it. Because we don't need that right now.
No.
Mark, to answer your question of whose shop it falls in, Chairman Bercuda and I are on the stats subcommittee, and we met with Adam in April,
A couple months ago.
yeah, to discuss this exact
Oh, what's this?
report, a couple of reports, and yeah, what we came away with was, yes, there is room for improvement. It's a little bit more than a mouse click and and it's a little bit more involved than we tend to realize sitting here.
For sure.
So, and I think that was pretty much the outcome of the conversation.
Yeah.
And I do remember it had some budgetary impact and it's associated with like the charter of the council, and like we are just supposed to be taking the information, not driving what is reported. So,
Which I don't have a problem with, but I don't know, color me dumb, man. I just don't know what that line is telling us. Like,
Exactly.
then get rid of that line. I think we'd be better, because it's contrary to what's on the three lines above it.
See, that's the issue that we
Yeah.
came up with, is it's for budgetary purposes, and they know how, the nickel stackers know what they need on that thing, okay?
I prefer the term bean counter.
Oh, okay. So, but to change that, it would cause a whole bunch of problems and stuff. So for our purposes, we're just saying, I don't understand it.
Got it.
Right.
Is this created off of an Excel spreadsheet?
Probably not. It's probably an internal program.
It's a program, it is based off Excel.
Would it be possible to get a copy of it?
Would you be able to read it?
I do okay on Excel.
Okay.
He has bifocal, so.
Yeah, thank you. You're so right, too.
This, what you have here is right from the Excel spreadsheet. This document is from the Excel spreadsheet.
I mean, if it's not asking too much, and Adam, YouTube, I'd just like to see how that cell is constructed and what information it's using to generate the percentage.
The Excel spreadsheet that she's referring to is a document that is created from a project tracking software that we use. It has some public functionalities to it, but you're not going to be able to go into that program and see how our cases are set up. We would have to do a special
No, I don't want you to have to do that.
get together with you on that one.
So it goes out.
This spreadsheet just pulls the data from our project, our cases, and it's a tracking software that we use for building permits, for business licenses, for a whole number of functions in the city. And that Excel sheet is just pulling the data as far as number of cases, how many were opened in any given time range, things like that. We don't have an Excel sheet that lists where we track all of our data points.
Right. Thank you.
All right, any other questions for code enforcement? That end of it. I'm good there, okay. Park rangers and performance measures, go take a look at those stats.
If you want to come up, if there's any questions.
I don't have that picture. I have the yellow tab, but I don't have the papers.
What's going on, guys? Yeah, so you should have that in front of you, the stats. You're looking at Q2 from 2024. So this is October, November, and December. We've dealt with a lot of violations in the parks. few parking violations, though. Those numbers currently are much higher. With October 23, feels like 10 years ago. It was only 9 months ago with all the work we've done with the program. So we're moving forward quite a bit on that. Do you guys have any questions on these numbers? I'm not sure what exactly. They're pretty straightforward, and we've done a lot of changes and improvements to the program since. So they're not, I wouldn't say they're typical of what we currently are seeing. It's just mostly in the amount of rangers we're able to have out on patrol and the amount of incidences and that they're able to handle and attend to.
And we're trying to capture some of our data in a more succinct way. I know Trevor's been working really hard on creating better logs to track things. We're doing a bunch of training. But yeah, once we get the most current numbers, which will be, I don't know how many months down the road, I think that the numbers will be more reflective of what's real time occurring out in the field.
Trevor, I'd like to just commend you and your team on the job that you're doing and the increasing responsibility that you have. It is such a good puzzle piece to our entire public safety network here in the city, taking those lower level violations and the enforcements off of our sheriff's partners and off of the lifeguards who should be looking out at the water, not looking back at the beach trail. My biggest concern with your program is just how is your training and your equipment, specifically your radios and accountability, coming along to keep you guys safe?
Radios are an ongoing process that's going to be a longer term project for us. Training wise, currently we have had a number of our part-time park rangers go through their PSA 32 training, which gives them the ability to issue citations, both administrative parking and even misdemeanor cites. So we currently have 4 Park Ranger 2s, which is what we're designating our part-time rangers that are able to take on more of an enforcement role, as well as 2 senior park rangers and then myself. So we have a total of, doing math, 7 people on staff that are able to go out and issue citations if need be for different violations. We're really ramping that up right now. It's like they're really getting out there and starting to write. This month we've already written about 7 parking citations, which is for mostly vehicles that have been left overnight or after hours in our parks. Staffing wise, we've been able to increase where we have 2 rangers closing almost every night except for Mondays. Sometimes we only have 1 and 2 rangers during day shift as well, which is effectively doubled the amount of area we're able to cover at any one time. Other trainings we're looking into, we're just trying to increase their capabilities, particularly safety, how they can interact with the public in a more positive way. Equipment-wise, we're looking into how or what pieces of equipment will serve us best in our mission of patrolling the parks, keeping parks safe, allowing for people to have a safe and enjoyable time in our parks. And that's really kind of the state of it right now. It's an ongoing process. We're new. I think we've done an incredible job in the last 9 months. And we're going to keep growing and improving this program.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Trevor, I see the Rangers around more often than I've ever seen them. It's really great. You say you have 3 1s, 4 2s. How many part-times do we have now?
We've got, I think, 8 or 9 part-time. One of our part-timers is also works for Marine Safety, so he's kind of back down at Marine Safety for the summer, so he's kind of out of the mix. So he's not really being scheduled, but other than that, we've got like 8 guys, but we're having, every day we have, 5 on total with 1 opener, 2 day, 2 closing.
with three, our total full-timers is three.
Yeah, total full-timers are 3.
Park ranger twos are part-time with the ability to write citations.
Oh, I
One
see, okay.
PC 832 is.
Yeah, our full-time park rangers are known as senior park rangers, and then, of course, myself as the park ranger supervisor, so this would be our 3 full-time park rangers.
And how close are we to filling up your department?
Well, with the budget, for this year, we're getting 1, and then in the following year, we'll get 1. So that will bring our full-time senior park rangers to 4, and Trevor being the supervisor, so 5 full-time. So, we'll do the best we can.
And you've got all your uniforms down and stuff?
Yes. Yes,
Great
we do.
deal.
Everyone's
Great
in
deal.
uniforms, out and about.
What else can we look at for you?
What else can we look at?
Hovercraft.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably
Couple Easters.
rattle off some crazy wish list. But right now, we're really looking into what trainings we can get our park rangers to make them, more capable and effective. And as well as like what equipment, different equipment. I could list off a bunch of different things, but I don't know that that's useful at this time. But different. We're looking. We've also, we asked for a number of things in this budget cycle, such as another full-time position, vehicles, things of that nature. So those are kind of the things that we need. We're definitely outgrowing our current office space. That's something that we're looking into as well, to try and find more of a dedicated home for the park rangers, because right now we're taking up a small room in the code compliance office, and we're definitely outgrowing that space. That's kind of where we're at with the park ranger program right now.
And Scott brought up just a second ago about vehicles. You requested some vehicles. Is there any movement on that?
I'm not particularly sure about that, Adam. I don't think. Do you know if would they approve any of our vehicle requests for the new budget? I don't believe that came through, or I haven't seen that yet. They might be working on that still.
No, that was, I believe that was in the budget. There
Yeah.
were a number of things. I
Put
don't
out
remember
a
if
couple
one or
bids,
two,
one truck.
but neither one would take effect until July.
Yeah, so we're a ways off from that,
All right.
even happening. So
Well, we really appreciate you, Trevor. Thank you.
thank you guys.
Quick question. You said they're gonna, over the next 2 years, they're bumping up the full time. Over the next 2 years, are they going to bump up any part-time numbers, or is it not really an issue because it's all about how many hours are worked?
Well, it's about the hours.
Okay.
So we're gonna do a recruitment for the full-timer that is approved for this fiscal year. And then we'll do another one in the next. But I am thinking that maybe we could get another part-timer, since our one is down at Marine Safety for the summer, and just, kind of vary the hours a little bit. It's really, we want to have happy part-timers that are committed, that want to come. So we don't want to knock people's hours down that are doing a great job. But I know Adam and I have looked at the hours, and hopefully there's a little room in there to maybe add some more.
Thank you.
Good? Good. Thank you to Code Compliance and to Park Rangers for your service on this. New business. I don't see any new business, so we'll get right into unfinished business, which is our work plan. And our work plans are authorized by the City Council. The first one here is Communication and Disaster Preparedness Update. I can address that one. On June 10th, we were the recipients of a wonderful EOC tour, Emergency Operations Center tour, that was conducted by Darren Gendra, who is the executive director, one of the executive directors of Capistrano School District. And he opened his doors and showed us a working EOC that's set up and maintained full-time. And it's was a great example, and I'd seen it before, and I wanted to show it to a couple of folks. So we opened it up. Mayor Cabral, Councilmember Loeffler, and the city manager, Andy Hall, were also in attendance, and I'm sure they were duly impressed. So we'll hear more about that. And we're working on that one. Hopefully, we'll be able to, with the new budget starts July, be able to work on hiring a disaster planner for the city. We're anticipating that one. That'd be great. Homelessness and best management practices for public safety personnel project. Mark, do you have anything?
No.
I've got something. Yesterday, it's only because it's timely. Yesterday, on the news, there was a incident that was heavily. We had 11 firefighters from LA City who were seriously injured in an explosion in a homeless camp in the Sepulveda Basin. My concern here is, and I've just passed out a LA Times article on it that came out today, is we want to do everything we can for this work project that will keep law enforcement and fire safe out there. So I talked to Sean, our fire district chief, this morning, and he said that code enforcement's doing quite well on looking at those camps and things. But I did want to bring that up and say, Jay, how do you feel about you need more support, training, or anything regarding these encampments that are the homeless have?
I feel that we're sufficiently up to par with what we see in the city and deal with them accordingly.
Okay. It didn't specify what exploded, but I'm just speculating it was a propane tank or a number of propane tanks, because when you get 11 firefighters injured, and some with shrapnels, gets our attention real quick. That's code enforcement, do you need anything from us regarding that issue?
I feel like we are, as a larger division, very well versed in all things homeless encampment related, either on city property or private property. Adam did a great job on streamlining those processes prior to my arrival, so it's really just been me getting up to speed with how we do things here, and I feel we do an excellent job at addressing these, and our turnaround is really quick, both on city and private property, to gain compliance.
Great. I just want to bring that up because it's that important to me, and I'm sure the committee too.
Well, the area this happened in, if any of you been on the 405 and the 101, you'll see the large Sepulveda Dam there. The area behind it is heavily wooded. It's about 2 miles wide by a mile, 2 miles long, with a mile in width. Heavily brush area, and that's just on that side of the Burbank Boulevard. And there's actually the area on the other side of Burbank Boulevard. But they've tried for years to try to clean that out, and as they get across, it just starts on the other end. So, and some of the stuff they pull out of there, you wouldn't believe. Wrecked RVs. Really dangerous place for the fire department.
Was that where this was?
Yeah, so we're gonna stay right on top of that. If there's a problem, you know, like I do that. The other one is RVs, homeless and RVs. Any problems with code enforcement that we're doing right now on?
Code does not enforce any vehicles on the street.
Okay.
Where we would enforce is if we got a call about an RV being occupied or maybe being inoperable on private property. Then we would enforce. Sheriffs do vehicle enforcement on the streets.
Gotcha. Jay, do you have any input on that?
Yeah, we'll respond to those calls for service and actively patrolling for them. As far as enforcing sleeping in RVs on public roadways, it's not something we can enforce right now with the case laws that handed down to us. We'll see if that changes in the near future.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can still come out and mitigate any other parking violations that are occurring at the time.
Got it. Good. At least we're staying on top of that one.
Have you, I don't know if this is even a metric you know from your position, has there been an increase in the last 2 to 4 weeks about incidents involving homeless people? Because just from my perspective, you seem to be getting a little more aggressive in their panhandling and what have you. And I was just wondering if there was anybody that called like, hey, that you know of off the top of your head.
As far as panhandling,
Or just in incidents with homeless people and residents or tourists or anything like that. Has there been any?
it seems like with the warmer weather coming and the train service running now that we have had an influx of some people, maybe homeless, coming into the city. I know Carly and Troy are out there with Amber from our department, constantly making contacts, see if they could offer services and get them moving in that direction. A lot of times there's service resistance, but it doesn't seem like those folks tend to stay very long.
There's been like no assaults or anything?
Yeah,
Or-
no, I haven't seen an increase in assaults or anything like that. But yeah, there have been concern that more people are maybe in San Clemente. But like I said, the outreach folks and Deputy Garcia and other deputies are trying to stay on top of it as best they can.
Cool, thank you.
Great. Neighborhood Watch is the next one. Mike, do you have anything on that?
Nothing exciting to report. Ryan's still working really hard on block captains. A lot of the people that send him information, they don't follow through. Not that Ryan doesn't follow through, but they find out that they actually have to reach out and talk to somebody and hold a meeting. It's hard to move them along. And in our charge from the city, I want to work with Ryan, and we haven't really talked about it, but get a little video up that we can put on the city website about Neighborhood Watch and how good it does. I know in our complex, we got a package stolen at like 9 o'clock in the morning, and the resident had the package back by 1 o'clock in the afternoon because of all the neighbors and Ring doorbell footage. So it was interesting. So it does work.
Also, we're going to talk about signs. Okay? All right.
Actually, when you look at it, we don't have, the budget we have, the $15,000 budget we have is for staff time.
That's okay.
Okay, it isn't for signage. And I think we requested some, and I don't know if it ever,
I think we're going that way,
Good.
especially since there are some signs out there with the wrong phone number.
yeah. And the other ones that we have are really, nice San Clemente signs. But as we discussed in one meeting, the ones with the little burglar on them are a lot more noticeable, and I think they're some of the ones we have at Seaview, they almost look like Welcome to San Clemente. So a little burglar or whatever, I think it's a good way to go, and we should be pursuing that.
It's all traditional type thing, so we'll hear more about the signage as we come along here, especially with the new budget.
Thank you.
Okay, human trafficking, anything new on it?
Did
and talk to.
Did Stacy talk to you?
No.
Okay. I talked to Stacy Enmeyer today, and they just gave the Holiday Inn Express an award on their efforts to, curb human trafficking, and wanted us, if we could, to recognize them, and wondered if there was something the city would do, because they've jumped through all the hoops from the I-5 project. And I'll ask her maybe if she could bring that to the next meeting, and maybe we can come up with a little plaque or something that we can recognize the business for what they're doing to curb human trafficking in the city.
Did they specify what they did on the training? Was it all the
She didn't know what happened in Old Lake.
Okay,
So-
that's right.
And I wasn't taking notes because she really wanted to talk to Mark. So
She has my number.
I sent it to her this afternoon
Okay.
when I talked to her.
Yeah, well,
So
hopefully hear more about it next
Yeah.
month. Thank you. E-bike and traffic safety. Scott.
I believe council took up a recommendation regarding this.
Let's go.
Yeah. And they handed it off to the, I believe it was the attorneys and the bean counters to decide what we're gonna do with it,
And the nickel stackers.
and the nickel stackers. And there was one issue, I guess, an issue with one of the council members was concerned with the nighttime part of it, so,
And the age limit, yeah.
Yeah.
For now.
It's okay.
so when will it come back, or when will we know?
When they let us know.
All right.
It's,
I do know residents are chomping, I can't tell you how many random conversations I've been in the last 3 months about, it's twofold, the conversation is twofold. When is X, Y, and Z gonna happen? Well, we'll see, I go in, but I also tell them, I was like, you can have all the rules in the world. The deputies they're already at full bandwidth, and we don't wanna tax them with extra stuff. It's, so it's this term is annoying, but it's a fine balance, right? So that's what I put out there, it's like, hey, we can spearhead these rules, but at the same time, unless people are wanting to go to council and say, hey, you need to put more money in the police department and get more deputies or what have you, it's not a zero-sum game.
well, I think the other issue that could come up is when it comes to the city council and they're talking in public forum about enacting an ordinance like this. That's education, public education.
For sure.
And that's when the press gets involved in talking about that thing. And that's going to be a lot easier to handle than for Jay. He's, like I said, his bandwidth is full, and it's not like we're picking up pieces. The fire department's picking up whatever's left over with the crashes and stuff, so.
Well, it becomes problematic, and even in a supportive city like this, when there are still people that are convinced that the problem is that the cops just aren't doing anything, and I vehemently explain to them that's not true at all. So that's the hard part, right? So unfortunately, most people, their perception is reality until proven otherwise, right? So we'll see. I'm obviously a supporter of our deputies in the police, but you're right, it's a sentiment out there. Maybe more people need to come to the council meetings and be like, hey, yeah, you're gonna pass this rule, but give them, rules without tools don't really do anything.
Yeah, another tool in the toolbox.
It also has a touch point to statistical information and review to describe the size and scope of the problem is the sheriff's department and the fire authority are gathering that information and incorporating that into their incident reporting. We'll have a better handle on the size and the scope of the problem. But that takes time.
Takes time.
Adam, do you have any idea that has moved from the city council to any other entity to look at it?
Yes, it comes back to the community development department because we're the ones that historically write these types of ordinances. And we're incorporating it into our work program over the next couple of months as we speak.
Great, thanks so much.
more to come from community development, but we've done our part on the thing, and technology review is the final one that we're gonna look at right now. Is there anything that we have between Scott and I? I don't have anything either, so we're good at that.
The technology aspect of the speaker system, any headway on that?
No, I kind of left it with the city manager and folks and say, hey, you know. So what I'll do is I will do the inquiry and say, where is it? And is it even a reality? And we're talking about a siren system. We took a tour a number of months ago of Laguna Beach, and their system is a audio siren type thing, get people's attention throughout the city. And then what makes it very, very good is it's backed up with an audio. What is a siren? I got your attention, now what? And it comes up with, there's been a earthquake, there's a tsunami alert, there's wildfires and evacuations in this area, go westbound or whatever. They have a lot of information that way. Anyway, Laguna Beach is, you know, their example is quite nice, and we presented that, gave them a demonstration, so now we see what we do with it. I think a lot of this is grant operated, and we need to get the disaster manager position together, get up to speed so we can actually apply for grants and things. So, and that's starts July. So, Mark, that's what I've got on that. But I'd like to thank you for bringing it to my attention again, and I'll back up on that and see where we are. Good. Okay. Any other information? Okay, good. We're going to go into reports of committee members and staff. What I'd like to do is I'd like to be the last. Instead of the fourth, I'd like to go to the last.
No, you're the boss. You can do that.
But I have to change the agenda, right? And so that's what I'm going to do.
I make a motion to change the agenda to what you said.
I
Thank you
second that.
so much. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Police Services, Orange County, Captain Christian.
All right, just for my report, for the last month, we've had 2,138 CAD incidents, resulting in 521 reports, 92 arrests, and 226 citations. Nick, I did this specifically for you, because I know you're interested in residential burglaries. So, over the last 30 days, there have been 4 residential burglaries, 3 of those which were open garages and items such as bicycles stolen out of garages, and 1 window smashed to residents. Over the last 90 days, 9 residential burglaries, 0 in the month of May, and going back to April. One of those burglaries was a vehicle burglary. 1, again, was a locked garage, and 2 residential burglaries. So we've seen worse, that's for sure. So that's pretty good the last 3-month span. And then just in the last couple of weeks, you know, trying to keep up with the e-bike and e-motorcycle enforcement. So we've impounded 11 motorcycles in the last 2 weeks. So to your point, Mark, we're out there, we're trying to do what we can do, enforce some of these violations that we're seeing out there. I myself follow social media and see the concern from the public, and you know, again, to your point, a lot of people do obey the laws when riding these bikes, and it comes down, in my opinion, a lot to a parenting issue and making sure the kids understand how to behave correctly when they're out on their bikes, and specifically not on e-motorcycles. They're illegal all over town, so again, can't ride them in town. cool machines, but you can't ride them, so we're doing what we can to enforce those impound laws on those vehicles. So, and that's my report.
Any questions?
No, but I have an anecdotal thing with the motorcycles. I was at the pier this morning, and there was one locked up at the bike rack, and there was 5 to 6 men, young men, clearly age range from 70 to 85. They were just so enamored with it. They were just like, man, this is and I heard one of them say, man, it's crazy that you can just ride these around. I didn't know how hard that goes on with it. Technically, you can't. Hey, at least the kid had it locked up.
That's about the 70-80-year-old guys, okay.
All right, just a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Before we move on to the next, license plate reader program doing good?
Flock cameras?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Still, it's such a great tool to have in the tool belt, as you said earlier. They come in useful for locating stolen vehicles, suspects, and other crimes around town, not only our town, but other towns as they traverse through San Clemente. I know recently there was, I was just told of this by the investigators this week, I think Oakland PD was working a case of some robbery series of weed shops, marijuana dispensaries. They had a crew working their way down the state all the way to San Diego and apparently hit one of our flock cameras. So they sent deputies down to grab some video from a local gas station based off that hit on the flock and was able to get some video related to that crew and send it on to Oakland PD. So they're quite useful.
It wouldn't be the first time that a lot of chaos started from the city of Oakland.
I would agree with that statement.
That was a huge issue, the ripping off weed shops and stuff, and even before it was fully legal, and it was just I can't tell you how many incidents we had where the licensed, 100% legit armed security for the weed spot ended up shooting and killing one of the suspects. And, you get there, here we are again.
Right.
I agree. Well, anyway, that flock camera system is one of our pushes that we did from this committee in the past. So I just want to make sure that we're successful. And is there any more that we can do with that? That's the technology stuff. Is there any other technologies that come along? Let us know.
Will do.
Yeah.
There were some added recently, right?
We're up and running with 36 cameras around town. I know there was a request from you guys about the possibility of more. I did make a recommendation on where we could benefit from some additional locations. So.
And the Maxburg Park area has been covered.
Yes.
And crazy stuff. Thank you. Good job. Fire services, I talked to Chief Mall. He sends his regards. He's down in San Diego at the Fire and Police Olympics. He's going for the gold, as he said. Marine Safety Chief Mall.
Good afternoon, everybody. National news over the weekend. I'll tell you about a few events. One, there's a Hawaiian lifeguard on Sunday that passed on the Oahu North Shore on his break. Was killed by a shark multiple times. Tamayo Perry, 49 years old, some Blue Crush in Pirates of the Caribbean, I think. Professional surfer, so heart goes out to the entire lifeguard family over there. There's a family of 8, 2 parents, 6 kids down in Florida. Got stuck in a rift, but the parents went out to go rescue one of the kids, and both parents drowned. The 6 kids survived, and then there's 5 other drownings on New York from rip currents. So reality is, rip currents, 98% of our rescues come from rip currents, and you just wish you could get out there and educate the people, because it's pretty simple to get out of a rip. It's not going to pull you down. You just swim parallel to the beach, float on your back, swim at a 90 degrees to get back. But anyways, it's definitely summer. You bring the sand on the beach and the crowds are coming. And if you were down on the beach this weekend, you could see that full force. Since our last meeting, we've had 290,000 visitors, lifeguards rescued. Since our last meeting, 283 swimmers in distress. This past weekend, they had 59 rescues just on Sunday alone. I'm happy to announce there's been no drownings. Lifeguards conducted over 3,904 preventative actions, over 5,000 public education contacts, 167 medical aid incidents, 4 ALS calls. We had 2,593 law enforcement contacts, requested sheriff's assistance on 4 different occasions since our last meeting. We had 5 missing persons on the beach that we were reunited with their families, and 4 stingrays. And I think Mark was talking about if there's been an uptick in encampments. There has been since our last meeting. There's been 9 encampments reported on the beach, and 2 transients have come to headquarters. One just yesterday morning, I answered the door asking for services and connected them with Carly and Troy. And then our lifeguards, since our last meeting, have issued 4 citations, a couple for jumping off the pier and dogs. One of our MSOs that we just recently promoted, Dominic Rigardi, took off on Sunday to go into the military. So he's no longer with us. He's on military leave, so we backfilled with someone that was on the hiring list. His name's Hayden Paul, comes from Coronado. He's been lifeguarding since 2012. So he's just thrown in the fire without any institutional knowledge, but he's got a lot of experience under his belt. So stoked to have him to fill that gap right now. Weekdays we have 31 lifeguards working, and weekends we have 26. This Friday we'll finish up session 1 for junior lifeguards, and we'll start session 2 on Monday morning, which will run another 3 weeks. So there's a morning and afternoon session. Be 280 kids going through that. Water temperatures ranged from 60 to 70. It's been taking a dive over the weekend and on Monday, but it's been climbing back up. Air temperature between 57 and 70. And the Super Bowl of lifeguarding is obviously coming up here on July 4th. And then after that, a couple of weeks after that, we have the Ocean Festival, a 2-day event, which will be July 20th and 21st. And then North Beach sand replenishment project is coming closer and closer. There's 2 more permits that are required. I have a couple of meetings tomorrow to go about it, but the target date is July 8th. That's the sand that's coming from the Santa Ana River Jetty, or from the river, that they're filtering and they would truck down. And the city's paying for that, trucking and also the movement of the sand. So the project's supposed to start July 8th, and the Coastal Commission wants the beach open Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so North Beach will be closed Monday through Thursday. And it's gonna take 75 working days, which puts you almost to 19 weeks until that project's completed. So that's without any delays. So that's the end of my report, so if anyone has any questions.
Was the gentleman that approached Tower Zero a large white male in his 30s by any chance? Or do you know?
He didn't approach, he came to headquarters.
Oh, headquarters, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Was he a large white male in his 30s? Okay.
No, he was in his probably 40s, 50s, white male.
Okay. Thank you. I think we're all good with that. All right, let's go for committee members. All right, do you have any comments?
I have nothing to add.
Okay. Scott?
I do. This is my last meeting. My term is up in June, and I have chosen not to seek reappointment. It's been an absolute honor and privilege to serve our citizens and serve the city in this capacity. But what I realize is this committee does really important work in advocating for our public safety partners and ultimately for the safety of the public. And I was occupying 100% of a chair and not giving 100% of my attention to it because of professional and personal obligations. So it's not fair to me for me to keep occupying this seat, although it's like I said, been an honor and privilege. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone here, our administrative support staff, Adam and Tanya, our public safety partners, Captain Christian, Chief Maul, Chief Malad, Danielle, and our committee members, Mark, Mike, and Chairman Bercuda. So thank you. It's been a privilege.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Scott. Good job.
Thank
Good job. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. Okay. Mike, you have a comment?
Just, we'll miss you, Scott.
Thank you.
All right. City staff. The,
Nothing new to report.
nothing? Okay, got it. Then that leaves me,
Hold on, let me check. Yeah, you're the new
I,
so you can go.
oh, thank you so much, I appreciate that. In regards to change in commands and things, we've got a lot going on here. We're losing two of our members, Gary Walsh and Scott, and been very helpful to us as a committee, helpful to the city. And as that, I'd like to present to Scott, I have one also for Gary, a nice little, suitable for framing, a nice little thank you.
Thank you.
What I'd like to do though is to get a picture of us, if we can, in the front,
Right now?
right now. Yeah, we do that, you know, the city council does that stuff, you know.
You would have told me I would have worn pink.
That's all right, we'll cut you off. Come on up. Hey, this is a beach, come on.
Hey, man, your hair looks great. It is Sacramento, come on. Rest for the beach.
Okay, cool. Now I need to, I'll tell you about that. Good deal.
Let's see, I have a new camera
We got one, come on. Here.
with the big flash.
Oh, yeah. Right here.
Oh, no, fine.
Great.
That felt so hard.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh.
We are going to miss you.
No, thank you.
What's the reason?
Gary can't be here, he's on his way to Minnesota, I think it is, or someplace else. He says, say farewell.
Nice and muggy.
Yeah, whatever. But before we leave, I want to introduce Tom Hazelton. Tom, he's going to be one of our, the new committee one. This starts July 1st, okay? So we'll get you sworn in if you haven't been already. Get sworn in, I'm sure. But sworn in.
That's my wife's job.
Oh, boy.
July
And
18th.
there's another fellow that's going to be coming in too, so we'll do the formal introductions at our next meeting, and we'll go from there. So, if there's nothing else, let's call for the adjournment, and we're going to go for the next meeting will be scheduled Tuesday, July 23rd at 3 p.m. in the City Hall Council Chambers, and I need a motion for that.
So moved.
A second?
Can I make an amendment? Can we adjourn in memory of LA County Fireman Andrew Pontius and Chief Blunt? Help me out with the name.
Tamayo Perry.
In memory of those two.
So, amendment?
Yeah.
Second?
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
And adjournment? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We're adjourned until next month.
Great thoughts.